Hey everybody, welcome to Live at 5. I'm pretty sure I just turned my mic on.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, that was right. Like, you're doing the countdown. You said 3, I was like, oh no. You said 2, I said, let me do this. You said 1, I flipped the switch, but it's behind me, so I couldn't tell what was happening. And I said, well, we're going to find out. I either turned it off or I turned it on.
Yeah, and there's a level, so you're good to go.
I turned it on. Look at that. Turn the mic on. 1 second left.
We're so proud.
Let's do this. It's not like I haven't been doing the show for a while now. How long have we been doing this?
Yes.
We should look into that. We should do a special 1-year anniversary whenever that pops up.
All right, I'm on it.
Watch it, find out, and be like, oh, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm
No,
on
it
it.
has, there's no way it's been that long. I don't know. It's been a while. Last summer, at least, maybe. Anyways, while Jake looks that up, let's talk about this guitar right here. This here is the LTD Desert Eagle. This has it's been featured in a few of our videos on social media. Keith's been using it for, I think we used it for one 60-second lesson video. And then we also used it, we did the uncasing when, we take it out of the case. So we show you all the cool features and amenities of it. I think that was it. I think that's all we've done. So then Keith did a video where he was jamming on it. I'm not going to shred on this guitar because I'm not Keith. And it wouldn't do it justice. Me shredding on this guitar would not equate to anything that he did for you. But this guitar here is the Desert Eagle. It's an alder body, maple neck. The maple neck is the George Lynch original U-shaped size neck. It has a 12-inch radius. Uses a Floyd Rose 1000 SE bridge. Seymour Duncan, the Duncan distortion humbucker in the bridge, and it has an ESP SS120 single coil in the neck. Push-pull for your bridge pickup. And then you might be thinking, oh, it looks oddly familiar. Yes, it is very similar to the Kamikaze in many ways. Artwork, design, build, craftsmanship, it's all right there. But this is the LTD George Lynch Desert Eagle. I'll come back to it at the end of the episode and we'll go over all the appointments on it again. But yeah, very cool guitar for my friends over at ESP. Check it out. I believe we have one more 60-second video posting. It's either Saturday or Monday, but it's Keith showing off some other cool tricks and tips. They're not called trips. In case you need a word shortcut. But Keith's going to show you another cool lick that you can do using the Floyd Rose and taking advantage of that system there. This is the LTD Desert Eagle. Jake, you know what goes really good with Duncan distortion pickups and LTD guitars?
No.
Vox amps.
Really?
No. But here's a Vox amp. This is... Vox amps are a nice classic, clean, vintage style amp. Where I wouldn't pair an ESP and LTD or something with high gain or distortion into a Vox. Voxes, because they have such a clean platform, are a very good receptacle for running pedals and things like that through, because you're not going to get a lot of discoloration out of the amp. It is, like I said, clean, nice signal path. Nothing's really going to dirty up your sound. The really cool thing about the Vox amps is you have your top boost. So if you want to, do the patch cable insert when you're plugging in, reverb, tremolo. That's one of the coolest features on the Vox amps, is that it has the reverb and the tremolo built in. And then standard connections on the back. You have your power cable, and you have the foot switch. The external speaker options are there. And when you're looking at it, you might be thinking, Jack, why is it red? Well, it's just a limited edition. A lot of these companies like to do their own special limited editions every so often. Sometimes it's new features. Sometimes it's just a different design, a different look. These here, we have it in the 10, 15, and 30, I believe so, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the AC10, AC15, AC30. That's not speaker size, that's wattage. Every so often someone thinks that that's speaker size. I'll tell you right now, if you try to sell me an electric guitar amp with a 30-inch speaker in it, I'm going to laugh at you. I'm sorry, but that's a no-go.
I want to hear it now.
Okay. Vox.
Just to tell what it actually sounds like.
Mr. Vox. I forget who's in charge of Vox. I forget his name. If you're listening, let's get an AC3030. It's like an ESPN special. But no, it's got the different plate for the logo, special grill cloth. Still just has a Celestion speaker on the inside, nothing real different there. But it is the CVR, which stands for Classic Vintage Red. And it's got like this nice wine red kind of color to it. You're seeing this a lot, actually. You're seeing a lot of these things out there that are ox blood or wine red. And that seems to be the trend for all the special edition stuff right now. There's all kinds of things out there with that color. It's pretty cool. I like it. It's a nice deep red. It's pretty neat. But yeah, this is the Vox. This one's the 10. Or no, I grabbed the 15. This is the 15. AC15C1. The 10 is over on the floor. The 30 is in the warehouse. Just because it's pretty big. I don't know if you've ever picked up an AC30, but if you're like me, you grab the young guy around the shop to pick it up and put it somewhere because you got bad knees and a bad back. And you can't pick up AC15s like you used to. This doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't. I mean, Jake's laughing, but I'm so serious. Like, you just can't pick up an AC15 or AC30 like you used to anymore. It's twin reverbs, deluxe reverbs, AC30s. Let me call Joe, because Joe's the young high school kid that works here. Joe's gonna pick it up, no problem. I don't know.
I'm something else. Yeah.
Joe goes to the gym more than I go anywhere.
Well, it just reminds me of high school drama club, where we made all the freshmen crank the light bar.
Give them all the hard work. All right, moving on, because who wants to talk about being old when we can talk about microphones? So, I don't know. It sounded like a real thing. Today is the 11th. So in 5 days, we're going to have what's called Be Heard. It is part 1 of our audio series that we're using with Shure microphones. And in this series, specifically this first one, we're going to talk about how to effectively use wireless microphones and in-ear monitors to the best of their ability, but to also give you the best sound possible for no matter where you are. So whether you're using something like this, where I, every week, plug in with my Shure BLX system. This is the lav. Forget the model number on the lav. I don't have it directly behind me or whatever, but we sell these pretty regularly. This is a go-to standard here for us. The Shure BLX system. It works really well. We've got the transmitter is in my back pocket. It sends right over to where Jake's little command unit is and patches into our, what do we use, the PreSonus?
Yep, the AR8C.
The AR8C, and you're using it as the interface, right? So you have it USB into the computer?
Yeah, I have a USB into the computer and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and so there's all kinds of capabilities for wireless microphones, whether you're talking and you need to get your point across through speech, whether, just a handheld nearby?
Yeah, here.
Sorry, walking off screen for a second. Yeah. Whether you're a performer and you're going to go out and sing to people and you want to get move around the stage without being tied down, you grab the wireless handheld microphone. This is also from BLX. What we're using for the live stream is the BLX Dual system. What's nice about the BLX Dual system is you can either use 2 handhelds, 2 lavaliers, 1 handheld, 1 lavalier. I think you can customize the components, and if you needed to, you can get a couple of the headsets. And so what I'm going to do right now is walk through the different lineups and models that we have available here at the store today that we can also highlight and discuss on Tuesday the 16th for our Be Heard clinic. And it's just real cool to get into because you might not realize that some of these wireless microphones are capable of much more than just talking into or singing at church or anything like that. You'd be surprised how much you could actually get out of a wireless microphone setup when set up properly. So first, we're going to keep talking about the BLX system. So like I said, I'm using the lavalier mic from the BLX system. Jake, am I okay with this right here?
Yes.
Cool. This here is the BLX. The BLX 14 comes with a P31, which is the headset mic. It's kind of hard to see it in the picture there. But think think fitness instructors, think spin class, think Britney Spears, think anyone that has like that headset microphone. This is for them. We've sold quite a few of these to some local gyms in the area because they're aerobics instructors or anyone like that. They want to be able to have something that's sturdy and durable and allows them to. Are you laughing at the Britney Spears thing?
Yeah, whenever I see that microphone, I just call it the Britney Spears mic
It's
as
the
well.
Britney Spears mic. That's what it is. The Backstreet Boys mic. There we go. You can call it that too. But yeah,
Sync.
the pop star mic. There you go. Whatever. But there's all kinds of uses for these microphones. But what's great about the BLX system is the simple setup. It doesn't get much simpler than this when it comes to wireless microphones. It gives you your professional quality. It's a simple setup option. You get 14 hours of battery life from your standard BLX system. And they're available in handheld, lavalier, instrument, and headset. Gives you all those options there. And then they do make a set. They make a system which is just the simple over-the-ear setup, which you see a lot of churches use because it's just an easy way to get a good, clean mix. All right, so let's move on to the next. Actually, that's just a dual system. So yeah, but let me grab that real quick. Of course, it's on the bottom of the pile because that's how I do things. I wouldn't work in the music industry if I didn't make things more difficult for myself. This is the dual system I was talking about. On here, you get all kinds of features, but the coolest thing is your dual channel. So it's one receiver, 2 channels, which is great because maybe you need to save space in your current setup. Maybe you just want to simplify things. You don't have to look in multiple places to find where you're supposed to be. This is it right here. The BLX system lets you go up to about 300 feet away from the receiver. Get your 14 hours of battery. 12 channels is a big one. You can run up to 12 channels per frequency band. And then on the back here, it shows all the configurations. So you can do the body pack with all the different microphones. You can do a PG58, SM58, or a Beta 58. Yeah, so pretty cool. This is the dual handheld system.
And a thing I like about doing the Shure wireless stuff is you can go on their website, put in your zip code, and they'll tell you exactly what frequencies you can use.
Yes. But also, if you shop local with us here at Island Music, we have all the frequencies. We have all the frequencies and bands that you would need for the local area. Because when we shop with them, they ship us what's going to work in our area. So next, running down my list here, we're going to go to the PGX system. Now, the PGX system, is this the one I'm thinking of, or am I thinking of the GLX? I'm looking at my notes down there real quick. Because one of these things was brought back. Okay, it's the GLX. You might be thinking, Jack, there was a PGX system. There was. Then they discontinued for a little bit and brought it back. There's a little bit of confusion because sometimes technology advances across the world, not just in one industry. So there was a brief moment of time where some of your Apple products might have been causing some interference with your wireless products, as far as such as microphones or in-ear monitors, just because everything kind of operated real close to the same frequencies, the same bands, all of that. It was a big thing for some churches, just because if you're in a small space, it gets real complicated. But you don't have that issue. Shure does a really good job of making sure there is no longer, they make sure there's no issues.
Are you sure about that?
Hey, the Shure PGX digital system. The PGX system, digital audio that sounds, it sounds like your wired audio. So you're not going to hear like that digital, sometimes there's like a little crackling sound that you might hear in some digital stuff. It's not there. It sounds like you're hardwired in. It runs, well, like I said, like the BLX, it's a simple setup. Because the quality and the signal is stronger, your battery life isn't as strong a BLX system, but you still get a solid 10 hours out of it, which I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever used a wireless microphone for more than like a 3 or 4 hour gig, but in that time, you're probably only using it 80% of the time anyways. So if you manage your battery power, you treat everything the way it should be treated, you can use one of these microphones for like 2 or 3 gigs, or think of it as far as church services go. If your church only has 1 or 2 services, you're probably only singing for maybe a half hour. You could use the same batteries for quite a while on these microphones. Small clubs and venues, perfect setup. You get about 200 feet out of the distance on it. It runs off 24-bit digital audio for incredibly accurate sound. You're not going to have a bunch of delay or popping or hissing or anything like that. And the cool thing is it runs at 900 megahertz, which eliminates you from any feedback or issues from TVs. If you didn't know that, Jake. Jake's like, yep, that's cool. Be great if you're like a musician in a sports bar or something like that. There's all those TVs set up, and most of those TVs run on a wireless signal of some sorts, whether it's for the feed or they're set up through like a wireless transmitter to control everything on the same circuit and the same band and all that. That would be a great option for that because you're not going to get that interference from all those waves. Moving on to the GLX-D Plus. Now, the GLX-D existed before as another digital system. Before I go any further, I'd like to point out and stress this because there's no going back if you mess this up. A GLX system that you might have had from before is not compatible with the GLX-D Plus. So if you have a GLX-D Plus, you can't sync your old GLX systems to it, or if you have a GLX system, you cannot purchase a new GLX-D Plus microphone. They will not work together. They will not sync, and you will be left with components that aren't working. So pay attention to that. Of course, we'll touch up all on this on Tuesday at our Be Heard event. But the GLX-D system allows you to go wirelessly with confidence. They run at 2.4 and 5.8, so twice as much bandwidth. That's the word I'm looking for, bandwidth. These run at 12 hours, so better than the PGX system. You can get, what was the distance on there? I wrote the distance down, now I can't find it. Really small handwriting. Not compatible, already did that. Oh, here's the cool feature on the GLX system. Oh, it's right on the back here, look at that. 12, oh, I already said the 12 hours thing. You can do a quick charge on these, which gives you about an hour and a half battery time. Here's what's really cool about these. These allow you to connect with other things. So there's the frequency manager, there's all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. Which allows you to install this stuff. Oh my goodness. Excuse me, sorry folks. All right, let's try that again. The rack unit of this system, take 2. The rack unit of the GLX-D system allows you to sync up with the frequency manager and then different and like antenna type accessories to where you could install this permanently into like a small club or a venue and get some really great quality sound from what you're doing. Any performer could come in and use this microphone, and as long as you have all the correct like antenna components in place, you're gonna have solid signal the whole time. That's a big thing that a lot of people mess up on is they'll buy the rack unit and they'll set it up and they're like, oh, I'm having all these issues. You gotta remember though, like it'll work, but to get the best quality out of it, you wanna make sure you have antennas. And you're probably thinking, oh, if it's the best, I don't need antennas. It's not true. Look at how many people, like next time you're at a concert and someone's on tour, take a look at their rig, look at how they're set up. And if you pay close attention, if you look off to the wings of the stage, you'll see like these paddle type things on the side of the stage. Those are antennas. And what they're doing is they're capturing the audio from the stage, from the transmitters on the mics, and they're sending it to the source. They're not to the source, but they're sending it to the mixer. They're sending it to the snake. They're sending it to wherever the audio from that receiver is patched in to the output to the speakers. That's where it's going. So don't think you're above antennas and things like that if you're in a large spot. It's definitely worth the investment. The GLX-D Plus system, aside from a couple other models above it, is one of the nicest ways you can go when it comes to these wireless microphones from Shure. These come in tabletop, rack-mounted, and pedal board options for you guitar players and whatnot out there. But yeah, this microphone that we have here with this is the Beta 87A, so it is a super cardioid condenser microphone. The other ones I've shown so far, I believe, are SM58 and the P31 and the PG58. And the one I was holding a little bit ago from the BLX system is also the PG58. So let me check my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything there. No, covered all the quick bullet points on that. Just remember that they are not compatible with the previous GLX-D system. And then, this is when we get, I probably get questions for these way more than I get questions for microphones. In-ear wireless monitoring systems. It's the pinnacle of pro audio. This is a phenomenal way to have the best setup, the cleanest rig. And the really cool part about this is once you start getting into wireless technology, think of all the cable management that is now gone from your setup. You no longer have to run 25, 30-foot cables. You no longer have to wrap cables at the end of the night. I don't know about you, Jake, but I have all my gigging and everything I do. You know what I definitely do not want to do?
What?
Is wrap cables at 1 in the morning.
No, not really.
No.
Or set up wedges.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing too. You got to wrap cables, and then you got to carry the speaker, the floor monitors, and everything out of there. Oh, why mess with all that?
Yeah. And
Get an in-ear monitor system. It's all patched in. You can put it into a rack unit with your mixer, and then all you need to do is, at the end of the night, take your receiver, put it in the drawer, or however you guys have your rig set up, your backpack, your stick bag, your gig bag, whatever it is. Wrap up your in-ears, put them in the little pouch. Don't lose them before the next gig. But that's all it takes. It's that simple. Everything gets hardwired and patched in. And let's face it, if you're playing locally, you're never so far away from your mixer that the signal's not going to reach. You're most times like 10 to 20 feet away from your mixer. So the wireless in-ears are a perfect way to go. Now, they do cost more than you think. That's all I'm going to say. Because you would think it costs the same amount of money as a microphone, but it's kind of like taking that technology and flipping it around because it's sending everything the other way. But it's worth it. Wireless in-ear monitors are probably the best investment you could ever make as a gigging musician. Even if it's just taking your own with you to gigs or yours stays with the band equipment, you can't go wrong with this investment. I highly recommend it. Everything for me has changed as far as a musician when I started using in-ear monitors. I can hear clearly. Everything is right here. It's all right in my ears. You're no longer like trying to lean over to a monitor on top of your band's mix and try to make something out. No, it's all right here. And then what's really cool is if you guys get into digital mixers and things like that, there's apps you can get on your phone that sync to the same network and everything your mixer's on. You can control your in-ear mix right on your phone. It's really cool. The bad part about that is you can't do that with wedges. I mean, you can, but then you start getting all kinds of crazy mixes across the stage, and then someone always thinks they need to hear guitar louder than keys, and then it just creates an uneven balance, and someone in your stage volume becomes louder than your output volume. You don't want that. So yeah, get an in-ear monitor system. Your band will thank you, and then they'll probably want one too, because it just looks clean. It's a nice, easy look, and it's actually becoming the standard nowadays. It used to kind of be like, oh, you have in-ears, but now it's kind of like, oh, we got to get in-ears. You got to get them. There, that's it. You got to get them. That's the pitch. Forget everything else I said. Don't forget everything else I said. It's actually pretty vital information for making a decision on whether you want to step into the wireless microphones and in-ear monitors. I think it's a great idea to step into the technology. I am for technology. I think it's great. I think it's a nice advancement to what we're doing, because at the end of the day, you can make the argument of technology destroys creativity, but really the creativity comes from here. That's all you as a musician. You're the creative person. You're the creative spark behind what you do, not the piece of gear that you're working with. So if you're worried about technology taking away your creativity, look a little deeper, because it's not being taken away by technology. You're just maybe being a little less creative. On that note, let's go back to this guitar. This was the LTD Desert Eagle. Has the Seymour Duncan distortion humbucker in the bridge. It has the ESP SS120. Did I get that right? I did. In the neck pickup. Maple neck, alder body, Desert Eagle artwork and design, George Lynch U-shaped neck. This has been real popular. We get a lot of questions about it, so I don't know that's going to last much longer. Any day now, this guy is going to have a new home. The Vox AC15 CVR for classic vintage red in this nice I'm going to say the wrong thing here, but I'm going to call it Merlot. I don't know my wines. It's a nice dark red. It's a very nice amp. And then all the wireless microphones. And don't forget, April 16th, here at Island Music Company, starting at 5 p.m., is Be Heard, how to effectively use wireless microphones and in-ear monitors for your house of worship or live band setting. And maybe you're not either of those. Maybe you're a public speaker, maybe you're a live streamer or a podcaster. Wireless microphones are still a great way to go, especially if you want to go to like the lavalier, the lapel, any of that kind of stuff. All great options. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Jack. This is Live at 5. That's Jake. See you next week. And
Bye.
we'll see you Tuesday.